CN Inside the Studio is proudly sponsored by F&M Bank.
Everyone, welcome to CN Radio. I am your host, Crystal Kasab-Jabiro. We're here in the studio with one of my dearest friend's daughters. Her name is Carmen Oraha. She goes to St. Patrick's. She's in 8th grade. Welcome, Carmen.
Hi, welcome. Or not welcome. Wait, what did I say?
Hi, thank you.
Hi, thank you.
And we are here with her grandpa, one of my favorite people in the whole world, Mr. Jacob Bacall. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Crystal. You've been a great all along and a great supporter. Thank you.
Thank you for being here. This is our new series called Generations, where we have children interviewing their grandparents. So Carmen has some great questions to ask her grandpa. So whenever you're ready, Carmen, you can go ahead. Ask him some questions about his childhood and coming to America.
Thank you, Mrs. Jabiro. So my first question, Papa, is when and where were you born?
I was born in Tel Kiev. Tel Kiev is a small village northeast of Mosul. Is about, I would say, 9 miles, 15 kilometers from Mosul. And that Seoul is a Christian town. And that's where I was born.
Nice. So when were you born, though?
I was born on December 25th, 1955. I don't know how that happened. That was not by choice, of course. But yes.
You know, all these years I've known you, and I did not know we share the same birthday. Yeah. Oh my gosh. The year I was born on Christmas too. I'm a Christmas baby too, 1978. You're a little older than me.
Guys, get what I got. Maybe this, you're right.
Okay.
Don't feel left out.
Okay, Papa, can you describe your parents and siblings?
So I was born to, of course, my father's Jamil Dukhu Bacall, and my mom is Najiba Agubi Kraim. They both from the same village, both from Tel Kiev. They were not cousin or relative, but I think that my grandpa from both sides knew each other, and for most part, it was a kind of arranged marriage from what I heard from my grandmother, God rest her soul.
How about your siblings? Like, how was it living with? How many siblings did you have, and how was it living with them?
For one, I am number 3 in the family. I have 2 older brothers and 5 younger brothers. So Isam is the oldest, was born 1949. Eddie is the second oldest. Is born 1953. I'm 1955. And we have Isaac. We have also Hazim, Mukhlas, Basil, and Jason. Yes.
So
That's a lot of boys or no sisters.
yeah, that's what I was just gonna say.
So that was, believe it or not, was a stiff competition growing with all boys. So we fought a lot.
That's my question.
We wrestled a lot, but it was only I was in between. So I fought with my older brother, younger brother. I was not, at the time, my older brother was about a little bit larger than me. But once we got to teenage age, he started fighting with me because I was much bigger and stronger, and he never dared to argue with me because I was younger brother was easy.
Yeah. So, like, who was the duo? It was you and who else? Like, who are you most closest with?
Well, Eddie, who's Adil, he's 2.5 years older than me. He was much closer to me because of age, and we had a lot of things in common. Of course, through childhood, we went to the same school, and we always were like in the same school for the same time. So the gap difference between the brothers were not that big. So I end up going, for most part, spend most of my middle school, high school with Eddie because we were in the same high school.
Yeah.
Unlike my oldest brother, Isam, he was like between, he was born 1949, I'm 55. So 6 years, I never saw him in the same school. Mm-hmm. Younger brother, yes, but closer to Eddie than Isaac, which is Izzet. And so we were always good buddies, and we played a lot together. And when we managed to come to the United States, he was the first one in the family to come to the United States in 1974. And then I joined him 3 years later when I went to school in England. And we were good partners for almost 40 years. So that's a testimony of how close I was with Eddie. Uh, 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 he was, beside being a brother, very close friend as well. We had a lot of things in common, and we married same like cousin. Our wives are cousin.
Yeah.
That is one of the reasons as well. Both
Yeah.
have the last name Bashi.
Yes.
I actually did not know that.
Yes.
So you were saying that Uncle Eddie's name back home was Adil.
Adi.
Can you tell everyone what your name back home was?
My name was Ayub. So Ayub, my grandfather named me. I remembered hearing the story from my mom when I was born, before I was born. And the day I arrived, I guess he asked my mom if I could name my grandchild. Of course, go ahead. يعني كمان كيف خطوط أجيب له ككا. You say kaka like granddad. Kaka. So he said, I'm going to name him after my father. So his father was named Iyu. Iyu in Aramaic mean like Job, Jacob. Jacob is more Yaqub, but Iyu is a patient of Job, well known. So he named me after his grandfather as Iyu. So my name, original name at birth was Ayub, Ayoub. And I was known in school all my life, from the first grade till I graduated from high school. Ayub, Jamil as my middle name, which everybody in Iraq has to be their middle name, second name, and must be their father name. No exception. Boy or girl must have carry your father name. And your third name, always your grandfather name. Grandfather name. And you cannot change it. This is rules of the government. Your last name always carry like to be your surname will be after your grandfather name. Yeah, that was the rule.
Okay.
Is that what you were? You're Ayub Jamil
Dukhu Baqal.
Bacall.
Exactly right. Ayub Jamil Dukhu Baqal.
Now Ayub, is that Jacob?
So if you Google Ayub, the Ayub will be Jacob.
Okay.
If you Google Yaqub, also will be Jacob.
Okay.
But Ayub was Jacob. So if you Google Ayub's name, what is the origin of Ayub in English, will be Jacob.
Okay.
Is that correct?
Great.
Yes.
So how was school like for you? Was it easy? Did you struggle in some grades?
Well, for one, I was, as I mentioned, I was born in Tel Kiev, but I truly never went to school in Tel Kiev. The custom and culture then, I'm talking about in the 50s or even 40s and some 60s, the custom wherever the daughter is, when she is ready to give a birth, she will go to her mother's house. Why? She will need somebody to care for her during, when she give a birth, and she will need to be cared for first 2-3 weeks. Even though our permanent resident was in Tel Afar. Tel Afar is a town, it's like 10 times larger than Tel Kiev, the size of Tel Kiev, and it was 80 kilometers northwest of Mosul. So if I to travel from Tel Kiev to Mosul, it will take me about hour and 15 minutes by car.
How
Okay.
far apart is that from Tikapa?
From Tel Kiev, Tel Kiev is about 8 kilometers. No, I'm sorry, 15 kilometers northeast of Mosul. Tel Afar is 70 to 80 kilometers northwest of Mosul. So to travel straight shot, we had to go through Mosul. Yeah, because there were road paved. There's no other ways, and they were on the opposite side. So we have to go through Mosul to go to Tel Afar. In Tel Afar, my dad had a black powder factory, which called a dynamite now. The fireworks, the base of fireworks is black powder, which is dynamite, but was used for the construction purposes. In the old days, I'm talking about, I remember when I was a kid and I realized what my dad do for a living. So they used to make it the old-fashioned way, very hard. You would have half a dozen people working and half a dozen of donkeys caring for this factory, so to speak. So the makeup of barud they used to in Arabic, was not easy at all. Old-fashioned way and very dangerous. So that was, my dad, I guess, inherited the license from his father, and we carried on. So during that period of time, our permanent residence was in Tel Afar. And Tel Afar, so to go back to Carmen's question, that Tel Afar was solely all speak Turkish. They did not speak Surat or Arabic. So Turkish was the language of the town. So when I was pretty much, I was brought up in an environment where my dad had his business. Uh, at home, we spoke Surith, which is form of Aramaic, and my second language was Turkish. So in the street, we play with my friends, all speak speak Turkish. Then we went to school at fifth and sixth grade. We learned how to speak Arabic. So Arabic is my third language.
So Arabic
Turkish
at
second
school?
language. Arabic at school because that is the official language of the country was Arabic. Okay, so going to school was not hard. I was not the brightest school, but I always managed to be the top five in the class of 40 students. Why? I would say I was above average, but by no means I was gifted. But I studied twice as hard as everybody else, and I always ahead of them because I studied far more. And I scored highest. Some of my student in my class did not. They were smart and intelligent, but they did not study hard. So I used to be ahead of them by being just
They didn't
spend more
apply
time.
themselves.
They apply themselves
And
exactly
that's
right.
where hard work pays off.
Always
Yeah.
never failed me. I work and school by all means. Persistence pays off at the end. Absolutely.
So, what did you do for fun after school? Because in these past generations, we've had phones, we've had this, we've had that. And back home, I know you were talking to me, and it's not really like how it was like here, right now in the USA.
True. We fought a lot. And that was not a problem for us, right? Because I have older brother and younger brother, and they're all boys. So we always had this as stiff competition, but we did the play as well. But I would say we had at the time we had I believe we had my uncles lived in Baghdad, so they always send us these not toys that there was. You remember that game Snake and the ladders and Lito
Shoes
and
and
there was
ladders?
exactly.
Yeah.
We used to go and we used to spend a lot of time summertime. Then we had the local. We played masra'a. Masra'a is a form of taking. It's I don't even have to explain it in a way. That is that and hol, which was a kind of baseball, but you had no stick. Other than you have bunch of available stone that you will work it out to be as you use it to be a distance between two players, and you have whoever's going to reach to the goal by the way of hitting your goal. And also we had often we played soccer. Soccer was not, but again, you have to have the right shoes, which we all barefooted. Nobody had shoes. Okay, and we played soccer. That was easy. But again, soccer you need 6, 8 kids to play. So easier with at home. We played with my brother, and a lot of times we did run from running was always another thing. We did manage to run, and that was something that we did. In the school, they encouraged us to learn how to really, how to compete. And while we're kids, I'm talking about till I was 5 or 6 years old. No, till I was fifth or sixth grade, I should say. Then we moved to Baghdad. But then, and as I was up to 10, I was in Tel Afar. Then my family moved to Baghdad and things have changed. To me, it was like a day and night to move from Tel Afar, which was like almost like, like we lived at the upper break. It was like almost like the time of Jesus. You had no running water, you had no electricity. I mean, things were really, really old. We had money, but we couldn't buy. The modern life was not introduced to the town that we lived in. And that's in Tel Afar. Tel Kef was not much better, was much better. We were deprived from going to church because only in Tel Afar, we were handful of Christian families. So if we need to go to really church once or twice a year, we'll go the whole family and we stay for a week. In Tel Kepe, we go to church, and and that's where we, whether it was a first communion or a wedding of one of our family members. So was not too many. I could count them in one hand, the amount of time that you went Tel Kepe. But I was one of the luckiest one because my grandfather singled me out. He always favored me among my brothers because he named me, and I was a little bit darker than the rest of my siblings. So he felt like I am more like his side of the family, not like a little bit I would say fair skin and look like my mom. So I had a little bit. So every summer, he would send someone like with only 60 kilometers and a lot of from people from Telkif drivers will go to sell their cantaloupe, their ter'uz, which is a form of like a cucumber, into La'far. And when they come back, everybody knows everybody. So I would come with them, and it was hour and a half of a ride. So I would come and stay a month or two with my grandfather or grandmother.
So it
And
takes
they
you have to get there?
together,
To-
correct.
to-
From Tel La'far to Telkif, correct.
Ah.
And I stayed with them for a month and a half. So I spent a lot of time with my grandfather, and he would take me twice to church, morning like 7 o'clock in the morning. And then another time, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 7 days a week.
But there was no church in Telafar.
No, that's in Telkif.
Yeah.
Tel La'far, there was no church
There
in
was
Tel
no
La'far, correct.
church.
So when I was a summertime, half of my time was spent in church. And I felt myself like, as if my grandpa was like why he is going to priest? He has, is his cousin is the priest who is always saying the mass, or I always felt he had an ultra love to go to church. Either had too many sins, or I felt we were going to church too many times.
So that's very
It was
special.
a bit boring when I was young. I couldn't stand half of the mass because of the language barrier. Even they speak Surat, but the Surat was very formal Surat, and a lot of from the Bible. So we didn't understand it other than you say the original prayer, but the rest, just we picked up a few words.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like how it is now, It's still very classical. Some of the words we wouldn't know otherwise if we didn't go to church.
True, unless you read the English translation to
Yeah.
that, next to the
Yeah.
Arabic, yes.
It's transliterated.
So to clarify, it was just you that your grandpa took?
Mostly always me.
Wow, that's very, very special.
But when we traveled as a family, we'd go for a wedding. We stayed there a week, 10 days, because we have business to run. So we'd go the whole family, but that didn't happen too often. And believe it or not, Carmen, I remember when we used to go to Telkip for a week in advance. I would get my best shoes. I would have a pair of shoes or two, my best clothes, and I even to me, like we going to Paris. Even going to Paris today would not be as exciting as me going from Tel La'far to Telkip. Telkip was so special. I couldn't wait. I would be every day waking up like 6 o'clock in the morning. Mom, are we going tomorrow? So truly, we couldn't wait to go to Telkip. It was felt, like everybody felt like a family. We were invited every day of our people, and we saw a lot of our cousin relatives, unlike Tel La'far. So
Like a treat
everybody's,
day.
yeah, absolutely. So it was every time we went to Telkip was heaven, almost going to heaven.
Yeah, like a dream
Yes.
day, dream
Really
vacation.
nice.
True.
And then you moved far away to Baghdad
So when we moved to Baghdad,
for several hours.
believe it or not, Baghdad was a totally different chapter in my life. I remember, so at age 10, I was going to 5th grade. We moved to Baghdad. That changed our life. First of all, this was like day and night. First time I see a TV. First time. I walk into somebody moving like an action on the screen. I couldn't understand what's right, And of course, you have running water now. You don't need to walk like a distance from your house where your bathroom is
Outside.
it's a hole in the ground. Okay, so that was a big change in our life, and you have everything enclosed, and we stayed in the house like with the garden, beautiful fruits, and we stayed in Mansour. So we had money, but we couldn't So it was a big change for us to go in Baghdad. The life has changed. Everybody speak Arabic. Nobody ever spoke Turkish. And
Surah. And
Surah.
Mansour, was that a Chaldean area?
Well, no, there's
Chaldeans?
quite a few Chaldeans in Mansour. It was a very rich area too. So we had like a market, which considered like a store. At that time was a modern store, and in Mosul, in Baghdad, where other family members, mainly my uncles, who really helped us to get the store, they had many stores and modern stores. So when I see stores at that time, a lot of American product there, Monarch, and everything like iodized salt. You're talking about Clorox. You're talking about a lot of product in there. So I was introduced to a lot of American product then at age 10. So I worked as a stock boy with my uncle, because my dad couldn't employ all of us. So I worked with my uncle Hamid on Mansour Cross for the racetrack. which is well known in Baghdad. And we learned how to stock shelves. And I'm talking about really modern market. And so that was a change for us to learn. And we learned Arabic language was the official language. I never spoke Turkish again. And I ended up forgetting how to speak it, even though I could come back to me when I watch these Turkish episodes, and it's slowly. But at home, we spoke Surat in the street where I work with my uncle, or at school, always spoke Arabic. So I wouldn't have any accent speaking Turkish, Surat, or Arabic, because if you are 10 or about, you will not have an accent.
If you're
10 or thereabout.
Yeah.
Once you get like 17,
True.
English, when I was
lose it.
English, I was 18, 19. You will have the accent. You'll never lose it. Some do better than others, but very few. Once you're over 13, 14, accent will stick with you.
When did you graduate high school?
At age 18.
And like, where did you go to a private school?
No.
Or the public school?
I believe it or not, when I finished high school, I got scholarship to go to Budapest, Hungary. Iraq had a special relationship with the Eastern Bloc, which is the Eastern Bloc I'm talking now. There's not Eastern Europe and Western Europe.
Yeah.
So Eastern Europe belonged to the Russian Bloc at the time. So Iraq had good relationship with Russia and all the Eastern Bloc because of the ideology and what have you. So I had 5 years scholarship to study engineering there.
Great.
Study engineering. Even though, so that would allow you to go to school and not to serve in the military because there was mandatory then. You couldn't take a choice. You finish high school. If you don't go to college, you go to the army
In Iraq.
in Iraq.
It was mandatory.
Mandatory. So if you serve like, depend, 3 years, year and a half, or 13 months if you are finished college. So I enrolled myself as if I'm going to enroll into the scholarship.
In Budapest.
I never did. So what did I do? I remember then, my brother just managed to get to the United States at that time, and I had my oldest brother, Isam, who was in the Iraqi army. He was an officer. Okay? So I said, you're going to go to Hungary. What are you going to learn? A language nobody's going to speak. Now, a language you never use, and you never use that. So if you are to go to Hungary, you're going to waste 4 or 5 years of your time, and you're not going to, we know you are going to end up going to the United States. So we know sooner or later, it's a matter of time, we end up here because everybody, all the Chaldeans have a dream to go into America. And who didn't? Okay? The
Why?
Hollywood,
Why?
well, better living. A lot of people make a lot of money. At that time, we thought everybody who came to America, they once they get to America, they sweep money off the floor. It was easy to make money, and they live good life and drive good cars. And the Hollywood's dream. So everybody had that in mind. And other time, talking about 50s, 60s, even 70s, America was a new world. And this is opportunity everybody wished to have. And truly sitting here today, I feel still I am living the American dream. I really do.
You are.
Truly American dream.
Wonderful example of the.
Yeah, we came from back home, from a rural village that nobody know where it is, to come here to the United States, to be able to prosper the way we did. I mean, certainly this country gave me the opportunity to be who I am through of course, many virtues that this country offered us. I mean, yes, you have to work, you could work hard and you will get there. You could be honest and go by the rules. Yes, that give you all the elements of success. But by itself is not going to cut it. If the country and like in this case, we have a great constitution, and you see how much this country offer you, and you could truly prosper if you know how to use it and utilize it. And we feel we did. The opportunity at this country, I think, cannot be copied anywhere else. And I feel I'm one of the absolutely luckiest men where I come from to be where I am today. And we owe this country a lot. This is the great best country in the world. America is the best country in the world, without any doubt. I remember when my kids growing up said, Dad, are we Chaldean? We're American. I said, no. Yes, you are Chaldean and you speak the language, but we are American. Absolutely. Chaldean American. So be proud of who you are, but we are American. Absolutely. We're all American now. When we were kids, because they looked at them, they had different kind of food. They spoke maybe words and language. They looked a bit strange when they went to school. I'm talking about not Caroline's age, my kids, who they are in their 40s.
Yes.
So they looked at us with their They bring dolma, they bring gas, they bring, their food is different. See, they looked at them as they are not quite American.
Yeah,
And they felt that way.
we spoke another language.
Yeah, and they felt they are not quite there. But today, no. We all felt like
Absolutely.
American, they, of course. Yes.
Because it's like my mom and my uncles and aunts, they had peanut butter, or their friends had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and they had like doma.
The lunch, or gamer and silan for breakfast.
Well, I'll say my grandma always would pack us peanut butter and jelly or ham sandwich, so like nobody asked questions. Every once in a while, she put us in a Syrian bread, and everybody be, what's that?
Yeah,
My special pita bread, I'm like, what's that? They didn't know in that time.
yeah. Like in my school right now, we have like a table for lunch, and it's like basically all Chaldeans, and we all have like doma, and we all have risa maraca. We have all like these things, and like no one cares. Like
Yeah, and it's nice, West Bloomfield High School, they would have in the lunchroom always hummus or tapula, and they'd have our food,
So
sometimes.
it's a great opportunity to have to be really grow up, and even I was an adult when I came to this country to see and the changes this community evolved over the years.
Because you came in, what, 1978?
70s. I remember 1977. I came December 10, 1977.
why
The
did you
Chaldean
come to
community, the
America? Though?
population. Yeah.
Why did you come?
Well, for one, my brother was here, and the dream of coming to America was almost every Chaldean dream. Even the Iraqis. We used to watch these movies, Hollywood, the success in America, the cars, fast cars, beautiful cars, and the food, and everybody dreamed to come to America. But was that easy? Obviously, you had to go and apply. And I remember, so when I did not go to Budapest, what did I do? So I took myself, I enrolled, I tried to come to United States, and my brother Eddie, who was here, he got me an acceptance from Detroit University, which is the U of D now,
Oh, okay.
University of Detroit, and it's a Jesuit school. So we got acceptance, and I went to. We didn't go to American embassy in Baghdad because we felt always we are watched by the Ba'ath Party, and they could jail us, and they could kind of, you are not safe to go to as if you are watched by
Was it because
Secret Service.
were you because you were Christian, or just everybody?
Well,
was watched?
Christian were watched much closely, even though Saddam did not discriminate against Christian at all. He did not discriminate against Christian, but because you were not threat to his power, he did not discriminate. He was the least discriminatory among other leaders. So, but in general,
Just everybody was
Christian were always through their names, religion. You were felt like second class citizens. I don't care what you tell me, on the way up. In the army, we are not accepted. The number of people accepted in the army were far less than, and always they were there. Certain families from certain provinces were accepted in the army. Christian, as if they were not trusted, for a very simple reason. Only because I read history. The Christians suffer so much, the Chaldeans, among other Christians. But the Chaldeans in Iraq, always they were the vast majority. So if you were Christian in Iraq, we say Christian, Chaldeans, and 75 to 80% all the time. They were the vast majority of all. Syrian, Syriac, Armenian, and others. So, with that being said, we were always discriminated. Why? First of all, religion in Iraq, for a Muslim, they are not religion, is a way of life. And everyday practice, not like we take it to be, you go to church, and I believe, your religion was your practice in daily life. It's not what you try to portray and show people who you are. No. You practice. When you say theft, stealing, believing in what you 10 commandments, this is what you practice in life. Don't tell me about stories that you don't believe in. So back home, being Christian was to many was handicap. Why? We've been discriminated against. And in a school, or when you buy something, under Saddam was less, to be honest, less visible. But we're discriminated not to name our kids our Christian names, not to name our businesses Christian names. Absolutely. Why? For a very simple reason. We believed in their enemy's religion. So Iraq was always Muslim. You go back in history, the Byzantine, who were Christian, the minority were always targeted. Why? Because they believed in their enemy's religion, which is Christianity. And Chaldeans and with many others. Why do we have Arabic names? Yeah, we don't have Muhammad and Ali in our name. But again, we try to distance ourselves from the Christian. Why? Because
This is a way of
discrimination.
protection, right?
Absolutely. Because if we felt we discriminate against. And I could give you stories and stories. But this form of life. And here, I never felt more at home than here. I mean, remember, my grandfather did not fight for this country in order to pave the highways. And these was they're owned by Indians and the early Americans. Maybe they were owned from Germany, from Ireland, from German and English, from England. So it came from different parts of the world. Our people were not among them. But here, they welcomed me. They gave me the opportunity to prosper. And this is not something easy. In my own homeland now, today, I feel far worse than ever. Why? Because after ISIS, you know what happened in Iraq. The Christian community, according to the United Nations, 2003, they were over 1.5 million people. Now, mind you, churches always, in a way, when it comes to population, they exaggerate. I would tell you today, I think, Bernie, the government announced it, Christian in general, 123,000. That's according to the Iraqi government. That was issued in 2025. So therefore, the Chaldeans could be 100,000 or less. With that being
We
said...
have more.
Huh?
We have more here.
Yeah, of course. Here we have over 200,000 people. This is the largest Chaldean concentration in the world.
Yeah.
And 100% are based in Iraq because the proof is in the records.
Yes.
I can they say you cannot falsify the records. The government has disclosed.
Do you think that maybe it's falsified there? Like people don't disclose that, or
Well, the government of Iraq has no reason for them to say. I would say that is close to be accurate because if the church has way of knowing through birth, marriages, and death. And they use a math calculation to tell you how much.
and they report it though.
They report it. They never disclose it within Iraq because there isn't much. But you could do. I was in Iraq in less than a year, in February, 11 months ago, and I went to church. You could count them in two hands. There's not too many people in Baghdad. Northern Iraq, a little bit. But every day, every month, tens of families live in Iraq.
Oh.
For why? For a very simple reason. I was in Al-Qosh, which is the most prosperous, only because it's in the Kurdish side. So the Iraqi government has not too much control and is more protected, so to speak. So we go to Al-Qosh. I spoke to the mayor.
Al-Quds
Salib.
is part of the Kurdish. Government?
Yes, Kurdish government, yes. So I talked to the mayor, who's a lady. He said, you know what? There's 20 to 30 families leave Al-Qosh every month. With that being said, why? He said, well, they go to school. They cannot find jobs even when they finish college. Where are they going to go? And it's hard to employ. You're not employed. You're not given the same opportunity as Shiite who are in the government now, or Sunni. But you are not given the same opportunity as you give it to other Iraqis. So what are you going to do? You cannot support your family. You leave for other opportunities. And whenever you're there, accepted. She's telling me this. If they accept in the United States, which is less likely, they go to the United States. Everybody wants to go to the United States. If you're not accepted in the United States, you will go to Canada, Australia, Sweden, other Western countries. They try to accept the Christian who are discriminated. But I do know for a fact, they contacted the church discouraged them from granting them visas. Why? They say it openly. We want the people to stay. To stay, why? Because the Christianity in Iraq is going to end. It's a matter of time anyway. Whether you like it or not, it's a matter of time. People, when they have not felt safe, they don't feel there is a given equal opportunity. What are they going to do? And the church cannot protect your life or my life. They cannot protect my wife. They cannot protect my sister or daughter. So why am I staying there? So if they leave, you really don't blame them. If they cannot have a dignity in the life they live, why they stay? I would be the first one to leave and find an opportunity elsewhere where I have the right to practice my religion, the right to practice what I believe in, the freedom of freedom. Well, we all enjoy United States. That's not the same there. In Iraq today, 2026 now, right? The source of constitution is Islam. How can you live in an environment? This is discrimination by itself.
Yeah.
Okay, discrimination.
Well, this is what affects then our cultural preservation.
Despite what they tell you, even though our people decide, what will be easier for them or decide to leave Iraq or not, based on their, of course, or their daily circumstances and their if they could carry on their living, if they feel they are threatened, as they have been through, like burning churches and they were holding ransom for those wealthy Chaldeans in Iraq. Of course, they're going to leave. And who's there to protect them? Nobody. So it's a matter of time. Iraq there will be a vacuum, and just like follow the Jews, who were far more in numbers than us was today. They all left simply. The way that the government is practicing their us religion to be a source of constitution is not going to help us Jewish.
So same reasoning that you had left in the 70s, it's like the same thing for better opportunities. But it's
Certainly,
even more important, I guess, for now.
today is far worse.
Or far worse.
I did not face the same discrimination from the religion standpoint when I was there. There was discrimination. It was different type of discrimination. I felt myself, I was in the country itself was a large jail. I remember applying to get my passport. It was going through hell. It took me 2 years to get a passport. And I was a student. I was no threat to the government. I was no threat to the president. Why do I have to go through so much hardship to just get a passport? All I was looking to see, to visit my brother, who was at the time Turkey and neighboring country. Why? Simply, it was a large jail. And everything you have done, you were watched as Christian. And they were against, in the paper, was official, Ba'ath Party was a Thawra, a newspaper. They openly attacked whoever went to the United States. Why? You are not taking anybody's money. You are free to go anywhere you want, only because the United States was regarded as an enemy of Iraq. Not because the United States did anything to Iraq, but because they supported Israel, and you go through that. That's been going on for 100 years.
Yeah. Well, that's
Even before there was Israel was officially as a country in late 40s. So it's considered to be like you are Israel. Now, even in religion, you know how we have Israel as the name of Jacob? They couldn't put it there, only because they are too afraid. Today we use it, Israel, our church.
yeah, you do.
True?
Yeah.
They couldn't use it there. Even the church should do, but they don't. Why? Because they're afraid.
We didn't do it for a while.
True.
And then brought it back.
And in California, still they don't use that.
Oh, they don't.
They don't.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, but that's the same.
So, when you went to England.
Yes.
Did you go there to study?
Yes.
So did you end up
So when I applied for a visa to come to the United States, as I presented I have an acceptance from the University of Detroit. They tested me, my English. So I was not good enough to go enroll into college. And I didn't have anybody to kind of advocate for me. So what did I do? They said, well, you are good. We see your academic papers, but that's not enough. You should speak better English before you go there. So what did I do? So I applied. I went to England, London, and applied to almost like 30 universities. And I sent my documents, and I was accepted maybe half a dozen. So I enrolled to school in England. So I went to Ealing University. Is about 35 minutes from center of London, where Piccadilly Circus is. And now I think merged with another larger university.
Okay.
That was about almost 40 plus years ago. So I enrolled there, and I studied mechanical engineering. On my third year, my brother Eddie, who's older than me, I said 2.5 years, he was getting married here. So I came here to his wedding, December 10th, to be in his wedding. He was getting married January 6, 1978. So yeah, I came here, and we, of course, I was the only member of the family to be in the wedding, right? Because nobody else could leave Iraq, and asking for a visa to United States was was very very hard. Was almost impossible. So he was so happy that I'm here, and before he got married, he was asking me. He said, "So if you are to finish college in a year and a half, what are you gonna? How much are you gonna make?" So at that time was between $18,000 to $21,000. He said, listen, why don't we go partner? And I could guarantee partner 50-50, and I could guarantee you $30,000 some year one. Year one, $30,000. Which is, I know we have the business, we know what to buy, so we will overall and buy.
He had a business
So
already?
he did not, but he had the intention of buying a business.
Okay.
Yes. So what has happened? Sure enough, I checked with my great uncle, my mom's uncle, Salim Sarafa and Kareem Sarafa, asked an opinion. They were like father figure to me. So I said, you know what, education is very important, but you know what, very important. But all Chaldeans, they are merchant people. They are merchant mentality. So I could give you an example of many of our relative nephews. They finish college, universities, have master, and some have PhD. Like Zuhair Sarafa had PhD in chemical engineering. Hani Sarafa had master here in the state,
All right.
graduate from Ann Arbor. They all left their true what they went to school for, and they end up in private sector. So they had lumberyard. They had many other businesses, real estate, but none of them practice there because you make more money. So they advised me. They said, you know what, you certainly go, if you finish college, it's great, but sooner or later you're not going to use this much. So you're going to end up in the private sector. So it's your choice. So I ended up going to my brother Eddie. I said, Eddie, shook hand, yeah, you have a deal. So what are you going to do? I called back my friends. I said, you could keep my apartment. I have another month of school. You could keep my books, and I'm going to come back. I said, you're crazy. I said, no. I never went back. Got married.
So you just stayed here?
I stayed here.
You don't go back to here?
Well, but on the one I not finished college, I stayed there. So I dropped out of college. So I stayed here. So we went into a partnership with my brother Eddie. And we end up with the partner with my uncle Salim Sarafa. We had bought a bunch of stores. If you remember, before your time, there was a chain drugstore called Kenningham Drugstores.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, and we purchased 3 Kenningham drugstores and others. We end up, Eddie and I, managing and owning 5 drugstores.
Oh, wow.
Then, after a few years, we're not making money. Why? Because, there's a lot of shrinkage and theft, mostly in Detroit. So we end up selling most of them and focusing on real estate. And we end up building shopping centers and get involved with hotels.
And that's what you did.
Senior living, now multifamily. So we did very well in that sector. We just, and we focused mainly on real estate and income producing properties.
And that's what you do to this day.
That is correct.
Yep. Okay, I have one more question, Papa. What advice would you give to your younger self?
So truly, you know what? Of course, being a abiding citizen and being good at what you do, persistence pays off. Focus on what you do, and don't no cutting corners. Focus and work hard towards your goal, whatever you do, and at the end, you will get there. It's a matter of time. So don't look for shortcuts. We'll get there. It might take you a few years longer, but you're going to go and achieve your goal by focusing on your goal and work hard towards it. And never fails. Just continue to focus on your goal.
Well, thank you so much for being here, Jacob and Carmen. This is great, and I hope all our listeners enjoyed learning about your childhood, a little bit more about Iraq, and what you did when you came to America. And we hope that everyone will tune in for the next one. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much, Crystal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carmen.
CN Inside the Studio is proudly sponsored by F&M Bank.